Director at National RTAP. And today you might have heard, we've had a couple of sessions where we've been giving plugs or whatever, but we'll go through kind of an overview of our resources, and then we'll get in a little bit more into a handful of our most popular ones that might be helpful to hear more about how to use them or access them. And mostly, we want to hear your questions, what you use, what you want to learn more about. And yeah, Scott and I are just available here to help you make use of our resources. So actually, before we get started, how about we just hear where everybody's from and if you've used anything from National RTAP before. Start with you.
I'm from Cadett State College.
Okay, great. Also, there is a sign-in going around, so if you just joined us, and there's some handouts in the back. Go ahead. Great. Okay.
I know from your kids' one as well. Our was really nice. It helped me write my template
Right.
2 years ago. So I had the assistance of Robin.
Right.
And she's not here.
Yeah.
So they were really helpful. We went back and forth.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Go ahead.
And if you have a situation that you've run into and you just want to say, what would you do? We encourage that as well. So we'll have different scenarios that we've created, but if you're like, this one time I had someone say this and, we did this.
God
but
is
I
talking to
cover
us
that.
about mobility management.
Encourage that back and forth.
It should be right
throughout the process. We have a ton of scenarios.
The
but
AV
if you
version
really
of
like
our
this,
room.
We'd much rather have that.
It'd be kind of a difficult thing. Hopefully they can resolve that quickly because it's only one of the mics. Should not use that mic. Okay, sorry. You were saying.
I'll start again. I'm Nathan Sanford, the executive director of Procurement out of Virginia. And we regularly use our tabs for scholarships, for training, for travel, conferences, and every once in a while for some technical assistance that the state needs.
Sure, great. And you're a transit agency? Yeah, got it. I know you guys were in our session yesterday. No, it's their mic is getting broadcast in here, but only one of them.
Yeah, because we switched the mic around.
Got it.
See if I can turn that mic on.
Okay, awesome. And do you guys, can you hear everyone okay in here? I don't even think we need a mic, so if they, I don't know, take ours.
I think that's the problem.
That is connected with here. Yeah, okay. Where are you guys from again? You're
Steel Valley.
right. Great. Great, thank you so much. Welcome. Where are you from again?
First Transit. My East Region office is in New York area.
Yep.
And we used our chat recently for training.
Great.
Sure. Sam Wilsinski, the Pennsylvania DOT. We don't directly use our tab, but leveraging the resources for some recipients. It's actually, I talked to Scott earlier.
Yeah, good.
Started the relationship again. We had Bob Sharp.
Yeah.
With our tab.
Yeah,
He's retired. He still works part-time, makes his own hours.
you can't get rid of him.
No, we love having it.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll get to replace them.
great.
Natural booster on the Commercial Valley Regional Council of Governments. We administer the Schneider Valley Shuttle Service. And not use ours. And then learn about the procurement tool.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Excited to try that.
yeah. Awesome. Great. And you're a mobility manager? Yes.
I'm Ben Anderson with the Segregation Indians, and we're familiar with
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you guys all for coming today. And if there are, just feel free to ask questions. We'll be kind of doing an overview, but if there's something you want to learn more about, let us know. So far, so good. Yeah. Okay, like I said, we'll go through our an overview of our resources, and then we'll dig into a couple things that we think are, very helpful and sometimes more to learn about before you get started on them. And then kind of some of our new things and coming soon. So we are a technical assistance center funded through the Section 5311 program. So our program is written into law, started in '87. And really the main point is that small agencies have to comply with all the regulations, but they've got very few staff, not the same staff that exist at, the big urban agencies. So we're here to help with the procurement questions that come in, all the things. We're not experts on everything, but we can connect you to people who are. So this is our vision, really to support public transit in communities and help, with making sure drivers are trained and make sure the services are safe and compliant so they can keep operating and providing as much service as we can. Our headquarters are in outside of Boston, but now with COVID, some of our staff have moved. Scott moved up to Portland, Maine, just a few hours away. But the one beauty of COVID is that we can all kind of maintain our team. You might know my colleague Neil, he travels a lot to conferences and he is in Florida now, but the beauty of Zoom, we can work really well together. And then Robin, our executive director, and her assistant Nellie are in DC. FTA likes to have somebody close by. So they're there. And we do have a review board of 7 state DOT officials and 7 rural and tribal managers or staff that are really involved in the organization, so that we can make sure what we're doing is really of use. And we are soliciting nominations for new members. So if you're interested in bringing your perspective, even if you're new in the industry, that's a really good place because you can say, hey, what about this, and have new ideas. So there's a form on our website, and let me know if you're interested. It does close at the end of June. And we meet twice a year, and we pay for your travel to come, and you learn a lot in the meetings. So just a plug for the board. And everything really is available on our website at nationalrtap.org. So to break up kind of what we offer, primarily we're known for training. We have hard copy, manuals, workbooks. Then we have videos. Most have videos with like scenarios, and then we have PowerPoint presentations for if an instructor is going to use the course and do it in person. We have more and more on e-learning, and Scott's going to get into that later. We try to make sure that every course is available on e-learning and a hard copy going forward. And then we offer a lot of webinars, bringing, kind of like conference presentations to people, remotely. So that's a great resource. Our other kind of category is information. So if there's a topic that doesn't really deserve a training, then a full course, then we have it in a kind of a technical brief. So I'll talk about those. Also, toolkits are kind of breaking down guidance and really what you need to know, and then providing links to either our resources or outside resources and guidance, but trying to put everything in one place. And those are living documents. They get updated every year, and we'll get into that a little bit. Another great resource is our newsletter. And we don't do a lot of research ourselves, but we are involved in rural and tribal transit research to make sure that, there's all these federal transportation resource board projects, and making sure that rural is taken into account there so that the issues are, getting use of that work. And then we have technology tools. So those are, some of them are, we used to call them web apps, but they're really not all web-based applications anymore. Some of them, half of them are just, complicated spreadsheets and or access files. We'll get into a couple of those. And we also offer things like this, either in conferences or remotely on Zoom, online forums, so that people can share with each other. I mean, a lot of it is stuff that we don't even know, but just connecting people to say, oh, this worked for me, things like that. So connecting you to each other to help each other. And then we offer, technical assistance ranging from, a simple question about a regulation or to something pretty complicated. And we're not going to offer really in-depth consulting services for the most part, but depending on the situation, maybe we can. So if you have a question, just bring it to us. And like I said, if we can't answer it, we'll connect you to someone who hopefully can. Our website is broken out into these categories. So information training, toolkits, technology tools in terms of our resources. And then the technical assistance is kind of covered in different areas. So I'm going to cover a couple things about the kind of information category because I'm not going to get into those as in depth. So one of those is our e-newsletter. Do any of you subscribe to that? It's every other week. And it can be a little daunting because it is a lot of information. Our colleague Kara is a trained librarian and she synthesizes information from like almost 200 sites and newsletters and pulls out the things that are relevant to rural and tribal transit. So it's all the FTA updates, DOT updates about regulations or funding opportunities, all of our partner webinars, and also, our resources and opportunities. So publications, all kinds of things, you're going to get it there. I mentioned this a little bit, but our technical briefs, I think they get a little underutilized, and we kind of do them based on, oh, that'd be a good, we hear from our board, oh, that'd be a good thing to do. It's not a full training, but so I wrote down some of the ones that are newest, like we have one on school bus transportation and how you can coordinate with your local school bus operators. Electronic grant management systems, that's more for states who are looking into doing a new grant management system. Also, the other one was, this is new, vehicle maintenance to reduce the cost of fuel consumption. So these are kind of like case studies and best practices that we can put it together into a technical brief. And they're usually, like I said, some of them are like a checklist and some of them, like we had a COVID one, then Kara updated that, like she was like on it, updating it like weekly for a while and then monthly, but that I think was like 12 pages. So that's generally the range. The best practices spotlight articles are kind of like technical briefs, but they're more just like, here's something cool an agency's doing and let's share what they're doing. So we had, these were some cool ones. Well, recently, how to share training with agencies when you're coordinating transportation, transportation to scenic destinations. So some, I think there was maybe one in Acadia National Park, maybe Yosemite, some interesting ways that public transit is doing that. And then some innovative ways. I think that social media one is now a few years ago, but some just really great examples of what agencies are doing to engage with social media. Another kind of lesser known product, we are tasked by FTA to make the NTD data available, the rural NTD data more available and usable. So we have Florida International University they have this system and it enables you to see, to compare your system or your state. It has all the NTD data, but you can put in like performance measures and different variables. And now we have a peer tool. So you can find a peer and then compare yourself for, the efficiency measures and things like that. So it is used a lot by researchers, maybe consultants, but it's a great resource to see, oh, how are you measuring up? And maybe then what can you do differently or talk to that peer? And then we try to, in a similar vein, we try to stay up on, the trends in rural and tribal transit and how the state RTAP programs are being run and what they're offering. So we do a survey every other year, and the transit one is coming out soon. So if you get it, please fill it out. It's really helpful. Oh, and one of the things that we use from that is a job description and salary database, so that people can say, oh, where am I at in the range? Like, are my other agencies paying a lot more or less? And we do it by regions, so it's not identifiable, but it gives you a ballpark of what are other agencies in my region paying their drivers and other staff. I mentioned technical assistance. So in terms of just reaching out to us with a question, we do have online forums. So we have a transit manager forum that's on Facebook. And that's a closed group. And you can really just ask anyone in the group anything. We have one for states. And then we also have one for tribal and intercity bus. So they're kind of their own closed groups. And if you would like to join any of them, when you fit into the group, let me know. Or they're on our website under Connect with Us. We have Twitter chats. So that's something Kara does. I'm sure I could learn Twitter, but I just don't have a lot of interest. But these are great opportunities for interacting, spreading our reach. They have a topic, and yeah, she says they're really exciting. I should probably get involved in one someday, but that's a great opportunity through a different method. And then peer mentoring, like we don't have a formal structure, but if you have a question and we've heard from someone else, we'll ask that person, would you be willing to talk to them about, you know, your experience? Yeah, and that's, I think I covered the other stuff. Okay, so most people know of us. Oh, and I forgot to mention, so we're funded through 5311, and there is a national arm, and that is us. And then each state has their own state RTAP program. And they can do it with it however they want. They sometimes offer scholarships. So some of you might have used that to go to a conference, or they might offer their own training. They can use that in different ways, and we support them. But our program is for mostly providing the materials, and we usually don't go out and deliver direct training or more training on how to use our resources. But sometimes we do provide some training and host some training events. So most people know about us for our free training materials. This is our list, and hopefully is growing. We do have a couple more, but they need to be updated. That is the challenge of things that have been around for a long time. You gotta like keep them updated, and it is time consuming. But some of our newer ones, so the to the point training, this is an example of one of the cards down here. Just highlighting this is a great resource for, it's a refresher training. So there's information on one side, and then there's a quiz on the back. And it's not meant to be comprehensive training, but it's a great opportunity when a driver's, you know, waiting on a layover, or, you know, waiting for a patient, if they're doing that kind of service. They can do that waiting, or it can be part of a safety meeting, something like that. So they're on all kinds of topics, and then they are in Spanish also. So if that's of use in your area. And there is an online version for the to the point. So they've been very popular. And if you take a look, we have a sample at our table. And if you have a topic you think we should add, let us know. Recently, we published fundamental financial management and then the advanced topics. So if you were in Rich Garrity's session yesterday about procurement, he wrote the fundamental financial management, and it was basically like a download of all he knows about this. And it's just a book at this time. We are looking to make portions of it into an e-learning course. But it covers, you know, the gamut of, you know, from cash management to indirect costs and all that fun stuff. And then the advanced topics is specifically on cost allocation and contracting services. So those are some of our newer ones. Another one is delivering excellent customer service. So we had a course for many years, and Scott worked on updating it with our e-learning contractor. And that is live in our e-learning system, but we have a manual that is almost ready to be printed. And there is a manager's portion, which is kind of the new component. And Scott, do you want to say anything else about that course?
Yeah, it's gotten a great response so far. It's, you know, it's like your drivers and employees that are on the front line are really the face of your organization, that people see every day. And so I think probably most people that have been in public transportation for a while know that customer service is very important, but there's lots of good stuff in there. And it's not all about like saying, you know, good morning, sir, how are you? It's like, what do you do in a difficult circumstance, or like, you know, just there's a lot of good stuff in there, and it covers stuff that you necessarily associate with customer service. It's pretty comprehensive, but it takes a couple hours for each manager's module and the learner's module. So yeah, I encourage you to check it out.
Great, thanks. Another one that's new is the dispatching and scheduling. I think the asterisk is, for the most part, ones that are in e-learning. The customer service, I don't know, I think the asterisk got cut off. But dispatching and scheduling is also a new one, and then I'll move on from this. But it is very comprehensive. That was redone, and it's I think it takes like three or so hours online, and then there's the manual too, and it has different scripts and there's lots of scenarios. And it also provides a really good basis information about transit for if you have a new scheduler or dispatcher who has no idea about transit. It'll really bring them up to speed on the regulations they have to know about, like with ADA and different things. So that's a really great resource also. But our START training, the safety training, is very popular because everybody has to deal with safety. The substance abuse awareness is also well utilized because it meets the 60-minute requirement for safety sensitive employees. And also the reasonable suspicion is often used for training and making sure meeting that, that need. Any questions about these? Okay, so like I said, we have a resource library and we ship all the materials for free. I mean, they're not free, they're no cost. We are paid through tax dollars. So we can ship you what you need for a training. A lot of them have discs in them so that if there's videos, the learner can also access those. And often the e-learning version, if internet is an issue, like access, a lot of them have a self-launching disc, so they can still access the e-learning course, even if they don't have reliable internet. And our resource library, you know, it's really designed to be a hub of anything related to rural and tribal transit. So we all obviously have our resources, but we also have any relevant resources from partner organizations. So the idea is that you go there and you find what you need in this industry. And everything, all of our other tools and things are in there. So if you want to search for something, you can go to the resource library page on our website under resources and you know, type into the keyword, and then you'll be taken to another page I'll show you next where you can actually search the database and the results will come up. But there's also some quick links down here. One thing to highlight, you see the rural INTD is there and the e-learning portal, but also a directory of trainers. So if you're looking for someone to deliver an in-person training, we have a directory. We don't endorse anyone, but if anyone is a trainer and wants to be in it, they put their name in and their information and the topics they train on. So you can look there if you're looking to have someone come in person. So this is, once you search for something, you'll get into what's called resource share. That name came because originally it was a web app that someone like a state RTAP program could put on their website to access their own resources, but then no one was using it, so we stopped that. But we kept the name, and that is where you do have to log in if you want to see the asterisk, add to cart, or save favorites. But you don't have to log in to just search it and download things. So you can, you know, filter. You'll see on the left side, you can filter by topic or format. You know, whether it's one of our products or there's a bunch of subcategories too. So hopefully through that and any sorting, you can find what you need, and there's an advanced search too. And then you just click on the bold title and it'll take you to the longer abstract. But you can also, if it's like green, you can add it to cart and order it, or you can download it. If it has a little link, that means it's like an outside resource. Or you can favorite it. And then there's also often related items. So hopefully through all those, you can get to what you need. And the permanent URL is if you want to share it with someone, because you can't share the search, but you can share that and say, hey, check this out. And that'll go right to that resource. This is our shipping center. So we have an assistant who ships all the books out and makes the discs, Kathy. Hopefully this doesn't confuse you, but we do have another library that we're involved in. We were tasked, FTA was tasked by the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, to make sure that all of anyone related to transportation coordination was coordinating with each other. So FTA and all the other technical assistance centers that they support got together and pulled the transportation coordination resources. So a lot of it is related to, you know, coordinating with maybe medical centers or other organizations in the community and or aging, things like that, and how to, you know, make better use of the federal dollars. So and provide better service. So this is called TACL, the Transportation Technical Assistance Coordination Library. And so you would go here if you want something specifically about transportation coordination and how to do that best. And these are, I think, all of these agencies are here, or these other organizations, and we work collaboratively together to add resources and, weed the resources and make sure that what's in there is most useful. And if you're interested in learning more, there's a webinar in August about it. But hopefully go to ours first, because that's more broad, and then tackle is a little bit more specific to transportation coordination. Okay, I think I'm done with that overview of our resources. Any questions at this point? I know it's a lot of information. Okay, well, Scott's going to get in a little bit more to e-learning. So how many of you are using e-learning? Been on the e-learning system? Okay, great. Well, this is a good opportunity. Do you want me to? You can advance the slide just with the arrow. We don't have. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, I'm Scott Zadakis, and I'm the e-learning program manager. So I do a few other things at RTAP, but primarily I help develop courses for e-learning and just maintain the program and help people if they're having issues with any of the courses. And so I'm going to talk about what we offer and kind of how it works, and maybe if I can get the site up, I can even show you like what a course looks like. But all of our courses the goal of them is to be interactive and engaging. There are a lot of learning platforms out there where you just kind of like watch a video and then take a quiz afterwards, and it's just not engaging, and adult learning requires more. We have interactivity where you can click on this and then it'll show you like what would happen in this scenario or something like that. So this is our homepage for National RTAP, and when you click or hover over resources, you'll get this big drop down menu, and then you'll see National RTAP e-learning, and you can click on that to get to the e-learning portal. You can also just go to e-learning at e-learning.nationalrtap.org directly if you'd rather. Probably search it on Google as well. And this is kind of just a snapshot of the e-learning homepage when you get to the portal. And it shows you some of the courses there. Since this is just a snip from the screen, it doesn't show you all the courses, but hopefully I'll get into that in a bit. As you can see, some of these, we develop a lot of our stuff in-house with consultants or content developers and subject matter experts. That's a large part of how we select who's going to help develop the course is who they get for a subject matter expert. And so we've got a lot of good people with probably more knowledge than I do about transit and more experience in the industry. But yeah, we've also got partner organizations that we host some of their courses on there. So we have NADTC has one called Cost Allocation Meets Coordination. We work with one of the other technical assistance centers is out of North Dakota State University. They're called CERCOM, or I'm not thinking of what that acronym means at the moment.
Small urban rural center on.
Yes, thank you. And so they have a number of courses on there that are good as well. Anyway, yeah, we've got several partner organizations that we work with. And then sometimes something comes up that's more timely, like COVID happened. So we came up with some training on best practices for bus drivers and or maybe the garage staff or anyone that how to retrofit a bus with maybe plexiglass, or how to clean buses and how to keep the airflow going so that people are less likely to contract it if there is somebody else on the bus who might have it and not know it. that's a little less common, but we do put stuff up there. A lot of these folders will actually link to some of our tech briefs as well. So we've got within these folders, there are a lot of other resources that you can link to. That might be an FTA circular or a tech brief or videos, any number of things. And when we do these courses, a lot of them actually will do like live filming with actors and everything. And we've got voiceovers. I'm actually working on one right now that's very timely, unfortunately, but it's on active shooter preparedness and what to do in that situation. Probably won't be done for another 3 or 4 months, but we're well into it. We're about to start shooting videos and doing all that. It's a kind of a balancing act because we don't want it to be too scary in terms of the videos, you know, trigger PTSD or anything like that. But we also want to show you what to do if you do get into a situation, and also just how to be prepared for it. Actually, I should show you back here. When you go to this page, you just go up where the arrow. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get this off the screen.
So you just go to login. It's pretty self-explanatory. It'll take you to a login page. You fill out some basic information, email address, that type of stuff, and then you're good to go. Just like everything else RTAP offers, it is at no cost to the end user. We have I'm thinking about renaming it, but right now it's called the agency request form. It's a little, I want to make it clear that it's like if you have an agency that you want to sign up and have your employees join in as well, this is how you do it. So from the home page, you click on agency request form and it'll take you to, well, this is actually how you sign up as a learner. So I'll show you this first. If you are in an organization that has already filled out the agency request form, your the manager, the person that's your admin for your agency, will have an access code that they got when they signed your agency up. And for any learner that wants to sign up under that agency, you just enter that in the field near the bottom there. It says access code, and that'll automatically put you into the group that your agency's in. If you want to sign up independently, that's totally fine too. Anyone can sign up. We have lots of people in there that aren't affiliated with an agency that do trainings as well. But if you're in your agency, it has the benefit of, like, for the managers, they can see who's taken what training. A lot of agencies will mandate that their, maybe drivers take certain courses, or dispatchers take certain courses, or managers take certain courses. And so that works well for reporting. So the managers can, run reports and see who's done what, and like when the last time this was completed. A lot of organizations will have their drivers complete a certain training like every certain amount of time. Like maybe it's a year, maybe it's 3 years, but that just keeps it on schedule. So there's a lot of reporting opportunities that you can use in e-learning. And then, so this is what I was talking about with the agency request form. So I won't talk about that too much, but this is just kind of like a graphic on how you sign your agency up. And then it's the slightly longer form when you're signing up an agency, but it's the same basic thing. And once your agency is signed up, you will get an email that's telling you how to, usually how to access reports and what your agency access code is to give out to your employees. And so, yeah, it's a good tool to keep everyone on the same page. One of the examples I usually use is we have a really good relationship with New Mexico DOT, and they have basically decided that in order to make sure that everyone has the same basic level of safety training, that anyone that's a 5310, 5311 recipient has to complete what's called START online, and that's safety training in rural transit. And that's a pretty comprehensive course on all kinds of safety stuff. It's mostly for like drivers, but there's even it touches on maintenance and situational awareness and things like that. And so literally everyone in New Mexico is taking that as a baseline. And then of course, if your agency has their own trainings, by all means, the better trained your employees are, the better. So it's not meant to take the place of anything, although a lot of people are glad to use it so that they don't have to develop their own training. But yeah, it's a good baseline for everyone to be able to use it. So in terms of team admins and learners, so the admins can add learners, so learners don't have to sign up themselves. Like if you sign up your agency, you can do what's called like a bulk upload. And so you could basically put all your drivers into a spreadsheet and just upload them so they're all in the system. You can delete users if somebody leaves their agency and you want to keep your data clean. You can look at transcripts, manage curricula. Like I mentioned, you can kind of make different tracks for different job descriptions and or titles, so that I would say most of our learners most of our managers actually leave all the courses open to all their employees, because they figure, well, if they want to get in there and take a training, I'm not going to stop them. So, but if you want to make it easier and like not confuse people or something like that, you can assign courses to like I kind of outlined. And then for learners, like I said, it defaults to all courses. So if say you signed up and you're not in an agency, you're going to see all our courses that are available, and you can take any of them. And then, yeah, you can explore at your own pace or follow the learning track that was assigned to you by your manager.
Can I ask this, Scott?
Yeah.
One thing that comes up is that agencies say, oh, well, my driver doesn't have like a professional, they don't have a company email address, but you can put them all on one or theirs, as long as the username is distinct, they'll be able to be identified for their transcript if they don't want to use their personal email or they just don't really use email too much. So that's one strategy that agencies have. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to forget. So I'll come back to it later.
Yeah, just feel free to interrupt me if you think of it. Yeah, and I will say that we do have a fair amount of the people that are, like Liz mentioned, where they're all under, say, like the one general email address, because there's a fair amount of people that don't use email. Others don't want to use their personal email or something like that. And yeah, like not all drivers get assigned a company email either. It's because a lot of times email is, a cost to the organization. So teams, this is kind of just a little snapshot of what you'll see if you're in there as a admin or a manager. So a lot of what you'll do is under either teams or reports. And teams, this is just actually I pulled this from Pennsylvania. You can see there. There's Rockford Area Transportation, and so that would be under the state. So if you're a manager and you're in there, you won't see everybody like this. You'll see your team and then your learners. And I should also mention you can make other people admins by emailing me. And there's contact information in the portal, but because a lot of times somebody will sign the agency up and then be like, well, I just hired so-and-so, I want them to be the compliance person or the training person or whatever. And so it's easy enough to have multiple people that can get in there and manage it, as long as you're comfortable with that. And then reports, I'll just briefly touch on this. We've got a bunch of different reports in there. I should say the system, beginning of the year underwent upgrades. So by that I mean the software company that we use to host our e-learning completely overhauled the whole system. So it looks different. Some of these reports are a little different than they used to be, and some of them they simplified them so there are less of them, but you can still get the same data. But yeah, you can see there's transcripts. You can search like a certain like learning module. Like if you wanted to search like problem passengers, you could see like how utilized that is within your system or within your agency. You can look at burner accounts. You can see like when the last time somebody like logged in was, if you really want to know that. Not a lot of people do, but you can. And then this is just another example of some of the courses. As Liz mentioned, dispatching and scheduling is pretty new. Same with delivering excellent customer service. Some of the we do have a couple FTA videos on there. We've got like reasonable suspicion for managers. And some of these trainings do fulfill like our 60-minute minimum drug abuse awareness courses and video will fulfill FTA's requirement for 60-minute minimum training. So a lot of people will do that. And as Liz also mentioned, these all, for the most part, come with other media or in hard copies that we'll ship to you. Some of them, I know dispatching and scheduling comes with, has a whole kind of instructor-led learning track. So you can have the PowerPoints and all the materials that will help an instructor to give the course in person, because a lot of people prefer that, and that's totally fine. We do offer it online though too.
You don't have to go through this.
No, this is just
The list.
yeah, a list of some of the other
One
courses.
other one to mention is the human trafficking. So that is by busing on the lookout, and that is a great resource too for that, another unfortunate topic that we need to be aware of. And then you might have seen like the New Jersey Transit logo. I don't know if you know Mike Knoll, but he's a trainer in the industry, and he did a COVID training. So hopefully that is not relevant anymore, although it's still kicking around. But so we try to put on resources like that where we can work with our partners to make it available to a wide audience.
Yeah, and yeah, if you take the busing on the lookout training, you learn this, but people don't realize how many people that are being trafficked are actually at some point or the other interact with the bus system, specifically like a lot of interstate bus, but that doesn't have to be. And so it's a real problem that a lot of people aren't don't know about. And then it's actually developed by Truckers Against Trafficking, but it's a sub program, No Busing on the Lookout. So it just tells you what to look out for as a driver, if somebody looks like they need help.
Yeah, I was just saying, you mentioned the trafficking. Do you have information similar to services?
Do not at the
So we
moment.
have an issue with that.
Yeah, I've heard.
I'll make a note of that.
I have heard that before. So yeah, we don't have a specific training on that. trying to think of like maybe other passengers touches on that.
No, that one touches just on, you know, people like intoxicated passengers, but not really.
Yeah.
If they're carrying
Right.
materials.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but it's always good to hear, like, what are those kinds of things that are coming up if there's a gap in the industry. If there's already a really great training that is available to people, we're not gonna produce it, but if there's a gap or there's something that's kind of out of reach for people because it's expensive, then we might try to meet that need.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about other areas, but it's, you know, between rural transit,
Right.
it's a lot of the community has become opposed to a transit system because of the use of the
Oh,
private.
really?
So it's
Mm.
like, you know, our connection with the cities and stuff. So.
Hmm,
Yeah, this is more of use, I guess, but I've had someone on the board who's mentioned before that at her agency, they'll find like needles on the bus and like all of their drivers have to carry like special needle gloves, which, you know, it's unfortunate, but I mean, these things happen in public spaces and public transportation is a public space, so.
yeah.
And yeah, anytime you guys, if you have recommendations for trainings to be developed like that, we are always open. You know, it takes time to create courses,
Like a
but
long to-do list, but
yeah. But,
always good to add important things. And sometimes maybe that's more of like a webinar, like how are other agencies handling that? Like maybe that's not a training course, but we can see what's the best format, you know?
Kind of information's on there.
Yeah, yeah. Other thing is, you know, Scott mentioned the transcripts. We also have certificates. So if you want to, they can print out when they complete a course and then just put it in their like HR file or training file. You know, that's something that most agencies do to document their training.
Yeah.
And are you guys using e-learning from other organizations or using any other e-learning these days?
And it's actually really fire. They do like, I mean, it's not just transit, it's like.
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know, Videos, and you take a test, and after you get so many good certifications
Right.
and things.
What types of topics?
Bridges, roads.
Okay.
Everything that's DOT.
That's great.
yeah, just one last thing before I turn it back over to Liz. She touched on something that I should have mentioned, but the certificates are like quite important to most of our users. It's really nice to get, you know, to feel the accomplishment, but it's also like a lot of managers will have them. Their employees print these out and hand it to them. It's time stamped. It has your name on it. Can't get it unless you completed the course and passed the test. So it's a good way to keep records of what you did.
And most of the courses don't have like a significant, you know, barrier to completion or like passing. You know, we really want to make it available. We don't want to like lock them out, but they will know if they've completed. You know what I mean? If they've done the whole course.
Yeah.
And the only one that has a real timer are the drug and alcohol related ones because it is required that FTA knows that they did do the whole thing. That one does have a timer.
Yeah.
Does the reasonable suspicion also have the same time?
I don't think reasonable suspicion.
Right, but the content, if you take it, if you've done the whole content, we'll know that it took that much.
Yeah, and those ones just are a little more stringent. Like you'll have to get like an 80% or something to pass that one. But like, and yeah, the 60-minute minimum, obviously, the
Has to be
timer starts at 60.
Mhm,
and
yeah.
if
And you
finish it
can,
before-
most of them you can start and stop at any time and come back to it. But with that one, you do have to do it in one
Yeah.
sitting. Thank you, Scott. That was great. And he'd be happy to, you know, help you set up your team or get your learners on there. We'd be happy to work with you on doing that. Okay, so toolkits. Just wanted to highlight. So these are our toolkits. We have an ADA one, one about running a bus rodeo, which tends to be more like at the state or transit association level, but that's there. It's a great way to get, you know, drivers in competition and something fun to do, show off their skills. Find Anything is really like, yeah, about accessing information. Marketing is a toolkit with guidance, but also some templates and free resources, free graphics. And it is going to be updated. We need some fresh photos and things in there, but it is a really good resource if you just need to get like a flyer out, something like that. And we have like passenger guide templates, and it has really great guidance on, you know, developing a marketing plan. And then the state RTAP manager toolkit is more, for states to run their program. And the transit manager toolkit is what I'm going to talk about today. So this is really like if you started a transit agency, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to know so many things. So this is meant to break down all those things. It's not a full training on every topic, but it'll give you a snippet of, okay, here's what you need to know about DBE or this or that, and it'll connect to more information so that the agency is compliant and running smoothly. And so it's under Toolkits on the resources tab. And then the cool new thing we're doing, which I probably should have done all along, but is you can download the full thing and then you can search, you know, use the search feature to find specific things if you're having trouble finding it in the pages, because it is basically a website. So this is, there's 2 or 3 sections. This is the administration section. So kind of goes over these key things you would need to do at that level. And then there's the operations and planning. So, you know, what you need to do for all these important topics, safety, you know, mobility management, coordination, planning, communicating with the public. The engaging with tribes is more for, you know, outside agencies who are looking to work with the local tribes in their area, and just things that they need to know about that might not have any idea, you know, so kind of a base level of knowledge about engaging with tribal organizations. And then compliance, you know, really breaking down it's like these regulations can be very complicated. So trying to break down what do you really need to know about these topics, and then providing links to additional resources or the full circulars. So the procurement, you know, if you were in the session yesterday about procurement, it has the thresholds. It breaks down what are the different procurement types, you know, RFP or invitation for bid, things like that. When do you just need 3 quotes, stuff like that. And then talks more about the cost analysis in the Beyond 101. So it's really trying to break the information down for you. And then there's one on transit asset management. And like I said, this was, you know, Rich mentioned all these procurement things that you really like, the best practices manual. So that's linked here. The super circular, the 4220, all these things you have to reference as in procurement. So this is the kind of thing we do. We provide information and then we provide the links. So it's not going to be a comprehensive guide, but we're trying to put it all in one place for you. And then it goes through an annual update, you know, to make sure that everything is up to date and to add new sections. So a new one is going to be live at the end of the month, and there's going to be a new page on charter service, and then one on different operations management models. And we do work with subject matter experts to write these pages. So that's Toolkits. Does anyone have any questions about that?
Add, the toolkits are super comprehensive, but if you don't find something in there, our librarian, Tara, is an excellent researcher, and she'll find it for you very quickly.
Yeah, she is a great resource. Okay, so then technology tools. Oh, and the ADA toolkit kind of originated out of the ADA page in the transit manager toolkit. And we're like, oh, there's a lot of stuff we need to cover in here. So we made a whole new one. And that one, she sent me some pages that are updated recently. There's a new complementary ADA paratransit appeals process template. So we try to put things on there so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel. So that's an example of something new that I think that the update ended, you know, at the beginning of the year. So we try to do that every year. Okay, technology tools. I think this is my last main section. So we have 4 technology tools, and like I mentioned, a couple of them are web-based, and the other ones you just download and use them. So cost allocation calculator, GTFS Builder, Procurement Pro, and Website Builder. And I'll just give a little overview of each of them. And then if anybody wants to learn more about any of them, we can talk longer. Our colleague Nancy Doherty manages these. And we do work with some, again, subject matter experts in these areas to manage the tools, and because we're not experts in everything. So the 2 variable cost allocation calculator is either in Excel or Access, and you download it, and it'll help you to accurately allocate your costs. So whether it's by route, by type of service, or individual routes or services, so that you can, let's say you're partnering with someone, you can find out what is the actual cost of that service, or how are different services comparing to each other, different routes, like the performance of them. So yeah, it doesn't require any special skills, and it's all data that you should have, miles, things like that. So you put in the service data, then the financial data, operational data, and then it'll kind of do the work for you. They put in a bunch of formulas and things, and it'll do it on the back end. So we have a manual about this, like an instructional manual, and then we have some different webinars that we've had that can help you use it. And yeah, it is a really great resource. So do any of you have your routes and services in like a trip planner on GTFS? Yeah, okay. If you don't, this is again, a spreadsheet that was built with a bunch of macros. So there's actually 2 spreadsheets, and your work is really to plug in the information about your services. So you put in your agency information, when your holidays are, what's your fare information. You do have to go in and locate your bus stops. So we work with, it works well with Google Maps or Google Earth, where it'll identify the latitude and longitude, and you put that in, and then the schedule information, and it kind of does its work, and then it spits it out into the general transit feed specification, which is GTFS, and that's like this uniform specification that then goes to Google or wherever, and then it can be accessed by any trip planner. So Apple Maps, Transit, whatever, all the apps out there. And then you can have that on your website, or people searching can, makes your service is visible to other people, to passengers. It feels a little daunting, but you can learn it. We have really detailed guidance, and we have someone who's very passionate about it, who is willing to help you with it. And then you can, once you learn it, you can update your data yourself, make sure that the routes are still accurate, the schedules. We found that sometimes agencies who don't have enough staff to learn it and do it, it just gets out of date, and then it's not useful to anybody if the information online is inaccurate.
Yeah, the consultant that we work with, if you're lost in the weeds, she'll literally walk you from beginning to end through the whole process until you're in there.
She loves it. So these are just, examples of how it's put into practice, and being able to see how to get to here, from here to there. And there currently is not an official option for demand response services, but there's kind of a workaround where it's like you put in a fixed route, and it just says, call the agency to book your ride. And so that if someone searches, they can at least say, oh, there's transit in my area, and then you can call and make the trip. But I think there is like the GTFS Flex or whatever is in the works for demand response. Okay, ProcurementPRO was mentioned a lot in that procurement session yesterday, and this is web-based. So you need an account in our cloud. I know all these accounts, and of course they're not all the same, but hopefully you can create one username and password for all of them. But everything's free of charge, and it just will, you put in your basic project information, and then it'll give you the appropriate clauses for certifications to include. If you want to use the full product, there are different checklists and different guidance to help you with your procurement. There is an option for states that have different thresholds, and they can build this state portal with us, and then you can use that. But it's not well utilized because states have to put in a lot of work to do it, or time they probably don't have. And we have, again, some like webinars on it and demonstrations, but it is pretty simple. You just, put in the title, a description. Usually it's just federal funding is the option unless the state has done the portal. And then you select the type, is it rolling stock, professional services, et cetera. And then we have a page that explains like, oh, what does this fall under? And we do get a lot of questions for that. Like, so if you're wondering, what is this? What is the procurement type? You can also ask us, and our procurement expert can help you. What's your estimate? And then it'll give you options for what methods. Like, it'll only give radio boxes for what is going to be an appropriate method for that cost. And then you select that, and it'll give you the right clauses and certifications for it. Okay. Website builder is basically what it said. It's a website building tool. And it's free of charge. You can host it for free. You will have to pay for your own URL, your whatever the domain name. And this was updated a few years ago. So it's a great drag and drop system. We use it for our website. I find it pretty easy to use. It can integrate, like it says, with Google Sheets, PayPal, most things like that. We do have templates. So do all of you have a website currently for your organization? Okay. Hopefully. But some don't, or some want to build a new one. And we have a template that already has pre-built pages, so you kind of know, like, it knows what a transit agency might need, a routes page or a fares page, things like that. And we do have a state RTAP one too, if a state wants to have their own website. It can be translated. There is a trip planner in there, so yeah, it's pretty easy to use. And again, we can't like build your whole website for you, but we do have technical support to help you with questions that arise or some limited things. So this is an example of a website. This is Mountain Line Transit Authority in West Virginia. And yeah, so you can have a really nice looking website. You can also have a professional do it and still use the tool if you want someone to build it for you, but use this. That's an option too. Okay. Anything about that? We're on time. Getting close. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Well, you can always call us if you have a question. Okay. So what's new? We covered some of this. I think we covered most of this. So these are at the top are the trainings and then the technical briefs that I mentioned. And if it doesn't say new, it means it's updated. But it could have, new case studies or things like that. Scott mentioned a couple of things that are starting soon. The Tribal Transit Toolkit is more of a add-on to the Transit Manager's Toolkit. It's more like what is different for tribes, or what are different examples for tribes, because a lot of the stuff is the same, but some of it is different. So that's something we're kicking off soon. We have a boards that perform training that is pretty outdated that we need to work on. So I'm going to do an RFP to get that update, kick that off pretty soon. We're excited about that and try to make that more like modules so that if you're working with your transit board, you can use it in different ways. And we've heard that there's a lot of need for training transit boards. So working on that one. And then we also have the ProcurementPRO enhancement. That is going to be ideally a way where states, it'll be like an opt-in notification system where when an agency starts a procurement, I think it'll be opt-in, the state will get notified just so they'll know, oh, they're looking into this type of procurement because the state is ultimately responsible for it, and then they can kind of help you with it or make sure that you're doing all the right things with the procurement. And the rider survey toolkit is sort of a first step in an economic impact statement type tool where you want to go to your municipality and say, hey, this service, this is the return on investment, people can get to work, they can get to businesses, but you don't have the numbers. So the rider survey tool is to do a rider survey that will kind of give you that information that you can plug in to something like that down the road. And it can just be a tool in general for valuable surveys.
and I just wanted to mention, ProcurementPRO, there's like 2 versions, and one of them is like kind of the light version that is really, it's very basic, but it's super easy. I mean, we actually use it to, if we're going out to bid for a contractor or something, it's, I mean, FDA recommends it, but what I say, light version.
Quick Pro.
Yeah, Quick Pro.
Yeah.
It's so easy to use. You just put in like two or three pieces of information, and it just basically just spits out only the certifications and clauses. Yeah. So it'll just
So you
give
can
you.
just put those into your, and it'll just make sure that they're up to date. So that's why we use it, because if we copy an old RFP, it might be old.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Speaking of the RFP, will ProcurementPRO assist writing the RFP?
It won't. I'm sorry. But that said, you know, you can always ask us, and if you're writing something, and maybe we could talk to someone who's written an RFP for that, and you can get an example, because someone mentioned the other day, like, no RFP is written from scratch. I mean, you're starting from some kind of, so if you want an example of someone else who's procured something and see what they included, you know, we'd be happy to try to connect you with someone who can give you an example.
Give us a smile.
I'll also say that there are other places where you can get examples, like CTAA sometimes puts them in
Yeah.
our master trainings in, or in
Mhm.
the island, sometimes you go there, you'll still see a list of, that's what I've done with one of our field, what's necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really just the first part that's different.
Yeah,
The rest of it's all the several clauses.
that's right. But how do you write something to get what you need?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so another form of our training, it is under the training tab, is our webinars. So these are some of those we had recently. It actually kind of goes back to 2019, but these were some of the really popular ones. We've recently had a series of marketing workshops. So the same woman who did our toolkit is fabulous, and she did one per month this spring. So we have the last one at the end of the month, and they're all recorded. And they cover really everything you need to know about, you know, building awareness through branding on your vehicles, and you know, what you need to think of for just everything. What should be on your website? What should be at the top of your website versus the bottom? Passenger guides, then also community-based marketing, going out and doing presentations and things you need to know for that. And then another one on surveys, but like making sure that your services meet their needs through the research surveys. And then also the final one is on kind of improving the passenger experience to retain the riders once they've tried. You'll see the GTFS workshop, then a variety of other topics, and many of these we partner with others to, you know, share the information or the examples or their kind of mini trainings. And those are all on the webinars page of our website. These are, I mentioned the marketing workshop. We do have a tribal transit training conference in a couple weeks. Scott will be there. And we do provide more kind of actual training events for tribes, kind of filling in as almost the state RTAP for the tribal program and trying to meet the specific needs that they have.
We have a full-time employee that's dedicated
Right.
to tribal transit. He's the one that organized it. There is a support role.
Although that event is, a lot of the content really would be valuable for anybody or any agency, but anyways, I'm not sure we're gonna be streaming any of that, to be determined. I think it's really focused on in person. Rural Transit Day is something our colleague Kara started a couple years ago, and it's an opportunity to, you know, use on social media or celebrate your drivers or your passengers, and that's coming up next month. One of those Twitter chats will be on there, so we'll be a part of that, so if you want to take part in that. And I'll show a couple resources there, and then we have one of our roundtables for state RTAPs in July. And this is, we created some graphics and things that you can use to celebrate Rural Transit Day, and you can, you know, celebrate one of your drivers or other staff and the impact you have in your community. So the toolbox, everything's on the News Rural Transit Day page of our website, but you can, there's a toolbox that has all these different graphics in, you know, for all the platforms, you know, LinkedIn sizing and Instagram, whatever. So you can use those. We also have a photo contest, which is a great way for us to get your photos that we can use for our materials. But we do have some prizes, and this is the bus stops here. So it doesn't have to be just about bus stops. It can be where your passengers go, where they're stopping and getting off at. So that's also on the news page, and the deadline is the 20th. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a fun way to see what's going on in your agencies visually, and yeah, so it's a fun activity. I think we're at time probably, but any final questions? No questions allowed. I think we'll be at our booth, for a couple more hours, and oh, if you want a card, I have some cards. We have the rest of the resources in the back, and just contact us if you ever have any questions. We are always happy to get your questions. And like I said, if we get a question, then if someone else asks that, we already have done the work and can connect you. So it's just we try to be kind of the conduit and bring everyone together. Thanks everybody for coming. I think this is the actual